I'm just going to type in UDL editions. Okay? And look what comes up. These are, what happened to my little clicker? So if you just type in UDL editions by Cass, and you'll see various books and articles and things like that are UDL editions. So we'll go in, I'm going to go in. So here's some UDL editions. What's different about them? Okay, so I'm going to open up Call of the Wild. Do you read Call of the Wild here? Oh, actually quite a few people. Okay, so Call of the Wild in print is very challenging. I'm going to open up Call of the Wild. Notice on the side here, I'm not going to pay any attention to it, but you can learn about universal design for learning while you're doing this. So here it is, and I get choices. Do I want a lot of support, medium amount of support, not much support, etc. I'm going to go to, here's finding the book, and this is apropos your point. A lot of you have no idea what some of these words mean. This is a book that's given to kids usually in 7th through 10th grades. And look at this. Look at these words. You don't know what, do you know what Brummel means? Uh-oh, I didn't mean to, I keep forgetting this thing will click for me. Okay, you don't know what Brummel is, so you could go and look it up in a dictionary, but you're never going to do that. No kid ever does it naturally. But I can actually go and get a definition of what Brummel means, because there's a glossary built in, and everything's clickable, and I can find out what ferin means. These are archaic words, of course, so that they're, oh my God, who knew that it was, say, related to the snakes and whatever. Okay, so vocabulary is live, and in fact, any word that I don't know what it means, you can do this in other languages. This is a little bit older now. I can just say, uh-oh, I'm a Spanish speaker. You can do this in French too. Just tell me what it is what is that in my language? Okay, so that it does speak whatever languages you want. It'll read itself in different languages and whatever. All of these things are built in so that those things, those disabilities weren't there that we talked about. Everything, if I have trouble decoding, I can ask, and this doesn't require downloading anything, this is totally on the web, and so it just takes a moment to go out to the web.
Buck did not read the newspapers, or he would have known that trouble was brewing, not alone for himself, but for every Tidewater dog, strong of muscle.
Okay, so I can have every word decoded, or I can just say, just decode this word for me, and just tell me the meaning of this word. So that first set of things, we can say, by the way, all of this will read itself aloud if you're blind. You can use special browsers to use it if you're blind, so on and so forth. All the language and symbols are in fact accessible now. The good stuff, though, is we want kids to actually build their comprehension skills. So I have to hurry here, but I've got to show you one more thing, sorry. What's that? All right, I don't need to quarter after, but I need 10 more minutes probably. There are, remember we talked about demands and resources. These things over here, see the little pluses? They're saying there's more resources there. Are you having trouble here? There's more resources. So what we want is kids to feel like there's always help. And these resources are things like, maybe you don't know the background knowledge. And this is kind of a summary of the whole book. I've never seen a kid click on that. Here's one that is fabulous. That it sounds like a lot of people know this. But it's this long travel thing where you go from way down in California all the way up to the Yukon. And a lot of kids, especially in the East Coast, have no idea what this whole thing is and where you are or anything. So how do we provide background knowledge that's culturally relevant to modern kids? So what this does is just integrates with Google Maps. So I'm just going to click, so I'm in chapter 3, and I don't know where the heck we are. So it just opens up Google Maps and has preloaded the entire chapter. So we see that, oh, in chapter 3, it starts here, and that's where you go. And if you click on any of these, they literally have the passage from the the passage from the book. So you can see what's going on. You can play around. You can also, just like in any Google map, go down and actually look at what does it look like today. But anyway, it's built in just a piece of background knowledge to say, where are you? Because a lot of kids get lost after the first chapter. They don't know anything. And they're like, and it feels awful. You feel stressed to just not know what's going on. So this just says, wherever you are, you can just find yourself on the map and you can get more information about where you are, blah, 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 just by doing that. Okay? We were doing this with Google, and so we wanted to do something that looked very Google-like. But my favorite things are these little brain things. See the little brain-looking things? Because what they do is prompt you to actually get into the text. Because what we want students is not to read passively. We want them to build comprehension strategies for how to become good readers. So what's built in? This little bubble is helping kids understand the setting, but it's going to do it by making them very active, by being active about the setting. So here, watch what happens. It pops up this. It says, stop and think. Good readers stop and think. Interpret the setting, the time, place, and tone of the story. Choose the statement that best describes this setting. So now I choose. But in UDL fashion, I would always need support and resources. So there's little guys that can come out and talk to me about it. Okay? And I'm sort of, because I'm time, I don't think I'm going to, but anyway, he'll come out and talk to me. He's a mentor to say, well, here's how you go about looking for setting. Here's what you do. And there's 3 mentors. They each have a different take. One just kind of does a rubric. Here's what settings look like, blah, blah, blah. There's lots of help around. Another big piece of help is that I can ask to highlight the critical features. Well, show me where the setting is made. So I just click on this, and the text highlights. And it says, here's a place to look for how the author made this setting. Look here. And then, after I've had all this help and the mentors can come out and talk to me and so on and so forth, then I can make a choice. What's the setting? And I'll say it's a grand estate. And I can get some immediate feedback. Because, and Jeff's not, I don't know if Jeff's still here, but anyway, kids need immediate feedback. Do I know what this setting is? So this just says, great. You're right, that is the kind of setting, blah, 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 whatever. Or alternatively, not the kind of setting, and here's some things you can do to get closer to knowing what the setting is. I'm worried about the time, I miscalculated. But what we can do is build a lot of strategy help into the text themselves so that kids at very different levels can get help in becoming better readers. We don't want to make it accessible. We want to make it a good learning experience. So every kid can get better. The one last thing I want to show you is, that's the bottom level of support. Where do you look to get setting? Here's my favorite part, and I think for a lot of students it is. How do I get you really working on setting? And now I've gone to a second level of support. Different kids are doing different things in this book. But now, look what it says. Now you be creative and mix up your own setting for the story. What kind of setting do you want? The key thing is we're asking the students, what do you want to make the setting? We want to know what your goal is. So they say, well, I want to make it in a noisy city. Now we're very heavily scaffolding here because we're assuming they don't really know how to do setting yet. So then it will highlight again. Here's where to look, but now you can make changes. So notice it drops down right in the text and says, what would you do right there where the author made the setting, what he did, what would you do to make it a different setting? And it just has little drop downs so that we can actually give kids feedback. So I can go, what do I want to make it a noisy city? So I can say, busy, I want to change it to busy. Let's see, amidst a crowded neighborhood. Oops, oh good, I did the wrong thing. It's always good to make a few things wrong. Line with short young trees, I don't care whether I'm right or not. I'm going along and saying, blah, blah, blah. Enough for now. And if I'm having trouble, I can ask the coaches to help me. How do you make setting? What would I do now? But if I feel like, okay, I've got it, then I just say done. And I'll get some immediate feedback that says, in green, great, those things do sound like the setting you wanted, but the things in red, they don't really sound like that. You want to look at them again. So we're getting kids to be actively moving around in the text and making changes. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that's easy to do in a digital environment. These are all freely available for you, and there's a bunch of them you'll see there. And Grace and I will later in the afternoon show you how to make books like this yourselves.